these gorgeous gifts so fine. Every piece uniquely.
So today we're going to be trying out these products here. Now the boxes are a bit battered because they've been in my craft room quite a while. But I've not used them yet, so I thought this is a good opportunity. So the one, they're both by Peobo. So the one is resin plaster. So very similar to eco-resin, but not, if you'll see what I mean. And then the other one is by Peobo, and it's a crystal inclusions resin, specifically for moulding. Now they are only 300ml bottles, and the plaster is a 1 kilogram, and we're going to be using a variety of pigments and colours inside these. I've also got this little cup and saucer mould that I've been dying to do, so I thought we'd do them as well, and we'd make these moulds out of them. So they are star sign moulds, and they are really cute. So we're going to start off with the resin plaster. So this is a ratio of 3 parts powder to 1 part water, and you just simply add the water to it. So because I'd never used this product before, I was measuring accurately by grams. So I weighed out 450 grams of powder to 150 grams of water. And then I'm just combining the two. So I am using a fork for this, and I'm pouring my water in bit by bit, mixing it up to try and make sure that I don't get any lumps in it. But at this point I still wasn't sure of the consistency that it was supposed to have, but I have been working with eco pour mediums long enough to know that it should be roughly, or I should know roughly the consistency that it needs to be. So I'll give this a good mix until there was no lumps and it was just a smooth paste. After reading the instructions, it did suggest that it was best to colour it with acrylic paint. So I am separating a little bit into a cup so that I can put my acrylic paint into it, and then leaving the other bit this creamy sort of white colour. So again, I wasn't sure how much to put in, so I put in what I would normally use for normal eco pour, and I give that a good mix up. It's an absolutely stunning pink, but I thought that marbled into the white would look really, really nice. I'm just putting a little bit more in because I wanted a bit of a deeper pink, and giving that a good mix in. I then poured it into the rest of the mixture. I'm just making sure I've got it all out of the cup, and I'm just using my fork just to give it like a marbling kind of effect, until I was happy with the colour and the pattern that I had. Now this is the mould that we're going to use. It's an elephant money box. So it comes in it comes in 2 pieces. So you've got the front, which is the little circle disc, and then you've got that little square piece above his trunk. That is to slot the money in and out to go on the bottom. So you have got to fill that bit up. But I wanted the front of it to be clear so that you could see through it. So I'm not going to fill that up. At this point, the plaster was really quite thick. So I was a bit worried about it getting into all the sort of nooks and crannies. So I am using my fork, being careful not to scratch my mould, and then giving it a bit of a wiggle and jiggle. Now you can see here I have got it on my levelling table, so if I need to move it, it's easy enough. And then not only that, if I wanted it to be pure marbling, I could have just give the table a wiggle rather than to give the mould itself a wiggle. The marbling had gone through the window because it had sort of all mixed into like this pinky colour. But it is non-toxic, so that's why I'm not using gloves. And I'm just pouring the rest of it in right to the top. And look at that for measuring. Normally I do way too much, but this time there was only a little bit, so I decided to use what was left in a spare mould that I had handy. and I left it for about an hour to cure. So I thought I'd show you this. This is after about 25 minutes. And you can see it's gathered like a load of water on the top. It doesn't seem to be affecting the pour itself, but I had to get a wipe and just wipe it across the top just to take off this excess water. Why it had that, I don't know. I mean, you can see it jiggling. It's not actually affecting the piece underneath, but it was just sitting on the top. So after leaving it for a good hour and a half, this is now fully cured. Now, I'd never used EcoPore inside these money box moulds. And now I know why, because I won't be using it inside these money box moulds again. These are actually really nice in resin, and I've got a couple of different types, different animals. So we're now going to demould him. So I didn't know where to start because there is a bit in the where the coins slot into the top, which does get a bit stuck, and it's difficult to do with resin. So I started off well, just by trying to release the edges. So there's the bottom bit. You'll see how we assemble these in a bit. That's come out perfect. And the texture to this is very similar to EcoPore, but slightly rougher, in more like a plaster of Paris. So this is where I have the difficulty. Like I say, this is difficult in resin, but it seemed sturdy enough to be able to take it. So excuse me a second while I'm out of shot, because I am having some extreme difficulty trying to get this piece out. Like I say, around the edges wasn't an issue, but where the money bit slots in and where the part to get the money out, there we go. Can we just watch that again? Yeah, the struggle was real. It snapped in half. I couldn't believe it. I thought, what do I do now? Do I just give up? But no, that's not me. So we've now ended up with 2 pieces. So I thought, right, how am I going to stick these? So I got some glue, part A and part B epoxy glue, and decided that I was going to stick these together. Now you can see that's where the money goes at the top, and then that little piece slots in at the bottom, and then we have a front piece to attach. Now this piece was, or these pieces were pretty much a disaster from start to finish, and you'll see why, because it just gets worse. So I decided to try it in aquacast to see whether it was the plaster or the mould. Guess what? Exactly the same place, exactly the same crack. So clearly this mould just isn't for EcoPore in any way, shape or form. They both would have been stunning, and it was just so much to waste. So I did decide to glue them both back together. For this I used a 2-part epoxy glue. But what was left of the plaster, I decided to make this cute little cup and saucer in the same colour as the aquacast, using this purple. And look how cute that is. I mean, super cute. Obviously you can't drink out of it, it's not sealed in any way, but for decorative purposes I think they're really cute. So this is now the pink one that I've managed to glue, and alright, there's a big dirty mark down it and a couple of extra marks around the edges where I sort of lost a fight with a tube of yellow pigment. This whole project was just a lot of faffing from start to finish. There's that word again, faffing. Does anybody else use that word? So like I say, don't take that plaster as to be no good. It's just it's no good in this mould. But it turned out in this cup absolutely beautiful. Although, like I said, the texture is slightly rougher than aquacast or any of the other sort of EcoPore mediums. I decided that I was going to finish off these 2 little money boxes, that I would cover the cracks up with these little stickers and then put the front covers on. Now like I say, this piece was a disaster from start to finish because the front pieces that I made, I didn't like them, which you'll see me make later on in the video. But I still think it was worth showing that perseverance does pay off sometimes, although sometimes it just should have been scrapped. With this particular project, I decided that I was going to persevere and try to make something at least semi-pretty out of what was essentially an absolute disaster. Let me know in the comment if you think I should have bothered. So in order to try and hide the cracks, I thought, right, I'll use these stickers. So I'm using some pink and purple flower stickers and some beautiful holographic butterfly stickers, all of which was off sheen, hoping that this was going to detract from the big crack down the middle. Now the butterflies come in a pack of 18, all different designs. So I decided to choose the purple one for this one. Look at the holographic shift on that. They're absolutely gorgeous, and they were really, really cheap as well. So I'm just trying to cover up the crack. Luckily enough, the epoxy glue stuck them together really well and they didn't fall apart. I'm just making sure this is really stuck down. So this is what they look like. I mean, the aquacast is beautiful and I've sort of hid that crack. And this is the pink one. Like I say, the feel of them are slightly different. This one has like a rougher texture to it, and you can see the crack a lot worse on the back of the pink one than you can on the purple one. But yeah, I try to hide it as best as I can. So just to show you how I finish these pieces off. So the mould actually comes with this little extra bit. This is the front cover for the mould. I usually use epoxy. Here you can see why I don't like them. I tried to put non-sinking glitter into them to try and attempt to hide that crack a little bit more, and yeah, I just didn't like it at all. And they are much better and clearer with epoxy resin, but I'm just showing you how they go on. I'm using the craft resin UV resin for this. So after I filled it, I'm just popping it under my UV lamp for 5 minutes. Now this is the purple one, and as you can see, I've used that non-sinking glitter again, vial. I won't be using that again. My honest opinion on this is there wasn't an awful lot of difference, but the differences that they was enough for me to not warrant going out and buying this again. I think I'll be sticking to my aquacast. But yeah, in the meantime, the circular piece is now cured. I haven't even gone to the top because I just want to show you that it's just a circular piece and you literally just glue it onto the front. Now I do this using UV resin. I just literally put a little bit around the edge and then glue this in. So now we move on to the resin crystal inclusions. Now the total of this video was about an hour and 30 minutes, and I've managed to edit it down to 28 with both makes. So yeah, we're going to be using this star sign mould. And we're also going to be doing another one of these cup and saucers using this part A and part B. Now this is a 2:1 ratio, like I say, 300 mils in total. So you mix it up like you would do any other epoxy resin. Now this is by measurements rather than weight. So I measured, I think it was 100 mil of the one and 50 mil of the other. So 150 mil total, because it was just to do this cup, saucer and the key rings. And I'm giving it a good stir for about 2.5 to 3 minutes. You can see it is quite cloudy, but like any regular epoxy, it does go clear after a while. So for the cup, I wanted to mix in some interference powder. So it's like colour changing. So this has got like a purpley shift to it. So I'm mixing up just a little tiny bit because I want it as a dual tone rather than as a full colour. So I do pour clear resin into the cup and saucer, and then I pour just a touch of this onto the top. So I'm just giving it one last mix and just drizzling it into the top and using my stick just to sort of poke it in, not mix it, but just a few pokes into the cup, and then I pour more clear resin onto the top. I do the same in this saucer, so just a little touch. In fact, it was still probably too much. I need to get to grips with this type of powder because yeah, well, interference powder, because I always put too much in, and it's actually quite heavy. It's like normal mica, so it's a lot thicker than you think. Now on to the key rings. So I will fast forward you through these ones because I'm just putting different items inside each cavity and then pouring some of the Peobo resin into them. So I'll speed this bit up for you and play you some lovely music.
Hey there, friend, are you stopping by? Let me show you how to make resin fly. Glitter swirls in colors that glow. Georgie's Gorgeous Gifts is the place to go. Hit that subscribe, hit that like. Let's craft the day and light the night. Georgie's Gorgeous Gifts, run by Tony, it's true. We're making magic just for you. Pour the resin smooth and slow. Watch it sparkle, watch it flow. Tutorials bright like a morning sun. Stick around, the fun's just begun. One click away, it's all right here.
After these I'd fully cured, I went over them with some chrome powders from, these are the Temu ones, and they are really, really good. And you'll see in the demould how they look lovely as a backing. And again, I'm just using some of the purple. There is a video linked above on a comparison between the Let's Resin chrome powders and the Temu chrome powders. So once I'd done this, I mixed up some black polyurethane just to make it a little bit quicker because this had been a couple of days project so far. So just for speed, I'm just mixing it up. This is the fast cast, and it really is fast. It takes about 10-15 minutes to cure. So this was perfect for this type of project to finish it off. So I'm just mixing it up accurately by weight. It is a 1-to-1 ratio, and then I give it a good mix. Now you do only stir for about 30 seconds because that's how fast this stuff cures, and this is real-time mixing. So I'm just pouring it onto the back of all the pieces, and then I left that to cure. Because this video has been so long, I didn't show the demoulding, but here is the final product. This is before I pop the keyring pieces on there. That chrome powder behind them is absolutely stunning. So here are the dolphins. Then we have the crab, and that's where I used the interference powder and clear and backed it with the pink. This is backed with the gold. This is probably one of my favourites, the bull. Then we've got the ram with the little flowers in. And last but not least, the cup and saucer. How cute is that little cup? But see, it should have a space there. But I don't know how to, without drilling it out, how to get that space back. It has got like a stopper in the mould, but clearly it doesn't work. So here's the saucer, and we're going to finish them off with a few stickers. I just think they are so, so cute. So just to finish this one off, while I was putting the stickers on the other one, I used a pink holographic butterfly sticker for the bottom of this plate. Now, if I was selling it, I would give it a top coat, but look at the shine on that. I think it's a beautiful set. I will pop links in below for the bits that I can, but there was a lot of materials used in this video. So I just popped some keyring bits onto the keyrings just to finish them off perfectly. Just a quick note, if you haven't already subscribed, it's free to do so. So I'll leave you with some glamour photos rather than showing you them all like this. Thank you for watching if you're still with me. I've been Tony from Georgie's Gorgeous Gifts. Stay safe and happy crafting. Bye for now.
Hey there friend, are you stopping by? Let me show you how to make resin fly. Glitter swirls in colors that glow. Georgie's Gorgeous Gifts is the place to go. Hit that subscribe, hit that like. Let's craft the day and light the night. Georgie's Gorgeous Gifts run by Tony, it's true. We're making magic just for you. Pour the resin smooth and slow. Watch it sparkle, watch it flow. Tutorials bright like a morning sun. Stick around, the fun's just begun. One click away.